Hello everyone and welcome to my video on Cybernetic Kano. Cybernetic Kano in this game was considered to be a mid/mid-high tier. However, in the most impactful patch, which was the one that removed armored launchers for most situations, he should have gone up. People above him on the tier list should have gone down, and thus accordingly he should have gone up. So today I'm going to show off some of the things Kano could do, because he had a tool for pretty much any situation he was put in. He had an option, he had some way out of it, he had some way to beat you out of it, and this made Cybernetic Kano just a very scary character overall. So let's start first with his normals, and we're going to talk only about 3 of them. We're not going to do a whole breakdown on Kano. We're just going to go through the major highlights. First things first, 3 different mids. They all have unique situations where they are awesome and viable. I put them in this way because starting from top to bottom, that is how fast they are on startup. So elbow strike is the fastest, lifting knee is the second fastest, and power plant is the fastest move out of these 3. Next thing, they also go in terms of range. So back 1 on here on neutral can't reach my opponent. It has the shortest range. Lifting knee can reach, but if I move back, it starts whiffing. But power plant can hit from like all the way back here. So, you know, if you're here, you have a mid to reach your opponent back 2. This allowed you from the time Kano was in front of you to the time Kano was about over here, maybe a little bit further back. And it made you scared to press buttons or poke, because mids would chew up pokes, and this allowed him to get some pretty crazy stuff, because it isn't just a mid at the end of the day, because any character can be given a mid. Cybernetic Kano had 3 mids, all with very good distinct uses and purposes, which allowed his game plan to work almost effortlessly. So elbow strike, this very short ranged but fast mid, could be comboed into this string, which made it -2, which is completely safe. There's not a single character in this game that could punish that or do anything about that. And if Kano wanted to backdash afterwards, if Kano wanted to, I don't know, armor afterwards, he had the frames to do so. He never really put himself in disadvantage. He had all these safe mids. Back 2 had a similar situation, where it now became -4, which is very safe. So imagine, you know, a mid hitting you all the way from back here and being -4. Well, now I backdash, because I'm invincible during my backdash, and I've restarted neutral. I got my hits in, you had a block, and now we're basically back to neutral. It's not exactly that way, but for the most part, that's how Kano played. You could armor afterwards, he could try beating you out with whatever you did if you tried doing something slower, because he just had all these fast mids. We're not going to talk about forward 4 too much, because this move could not be... It didn't have any buttons afterwards, so it was a one-trick pony in a way. It could be canceled into special moves, sure, but other than that, it didn't really have much use. It was good to just kind of throw out in the mid-range if you thought your opponent was going to do something, but overall, on block, it wasn't great. On hit, though, if you look at on hit, it's +22. So it was sometimes worth it just to throw this out, because God forbid your opponent didn't block it. Now you're +22. That guarantees you basically anything you want. Guarantees you another one of these, actually. Guarantees you you're back 2. So it guarantees you running low, running overhead. You had options to do with that. But overall, it wasn't as major as the other 2 mids, thus I'm going to be excluding it from the rest of the video. Both of these moves could be hit confirmed, and that means if I see the first part of this move hit, meaning this part, this first back 2, I could, if I went to the 3 extension, hit confirm into this special, which allowed me to get a full combo. Let me do that again. Taking about, you know, a quarter of someone's life. Nothing crazy. It was meterless. It costed no resources to myself, but nothing too crazy. Except it is. It's crazy because 1, it's hit confirmable, so that means if I put him on random attack, he'll block random attacks. So I can test right now if I can hit confirm it by doing back 2, 3, and then doing down back, and pressing X if I saw the first move hit, and then pressing no X if I didn't see it hit. So, you know, if I didn't see it hit, I wouldn't press it. If I did see it, I would press X. So we'll kind of test that out right now. I'll do just 3 in a row just to keep this video moving. So there, didn't see it hit, so I let go. I did see it hit, so oops, I dropped the combo, but you know, you are allowed to hit confirm this, and you could also hit confirm this one. It's more difficult, but rigorous Kano players would learn it, and they would know the timing, and they would chew you up for not blocking. And if you get caught, you get a full combo for a bar. Again, this allows you to get, let me shut this off. This allows you to get a meterless combo, which, you know, does a fifth to a quarter of your opponent's health, 20 to 25%-ish, where if you hit confirm afterwards into a bar, you would get about a third of your opponent's life. So, even a little bit more. So, if Kano had 3 bars, he can kill your whole life off of 3 separate interactions with either of these moves. And so you have 2 of them. You have this really far-ranged one that you could hit confirm, and you have this really close-range one you could hit confirm. And this opened up so many doors to Kano for so many different reasons. You have, again, a hit confirmable mid from 2 different distances, one from really far away and one from really close. I have to talk about what else these moves can do, because these moves, both of them, can also end in a restand. Let me do the other one from back here. I did drop it, but it does restand. Bye. Yeah. So they restand. You are now standing. I took away your wake-up option. So all in all, what you could do with these 2 strings alone is you could hit confirm, launch, because this ending for a bar lets you launch. I haven't really talked about it, but I mean, you guys have seen me do it. If you don't spend the bar, it's just a knockdown, nothing crazy. I don't even think it's max damage, because this does 13. Yeah, so it's not even max damage, but for that bar, it is important. But I'm going to use 1 string. I'm going to use this full string, this string, and this string. And this will be my combo. So I hit confirm into this. I use the top one, Gut Blast, to get my combo. And then I could use this one to restand. So both of these mids had these crazy options. You got a restand or a combo, depending how you choose to end them. And they're safe if you end them prematurely. -2 and -4, which allowed Kano just to get away, or he could do some other random shenanigans that he had, and just completely sit you down. These mids were awesome, and this is not all that they could do, because back 1 also was an amazing anti-air. This anti-air was crazy. It got you a 5th to a 4th of life, and it was just super good. You could just spam these out. Why not? Look at this. I just meterless a 4th of my opponent's life for jumping. I'm like, oh, just playing neutral? Why am I not pressing this button when I'm close to you anyway? So, like, if I'm in front of my opponent, and I am Cybernetic Kano player, and I have, you know, knowledge that I have one of the best close-range mids in the game, I'm spamming these out. You know, I'm just kind of, look at that. I get a combo off of a hit from you missing the air. Like, I beat your startup frames getting into the air, and you now get a full combo. Move was just crazy. Hit super high up, for even though it says a mid, it basically hit as high as a high. And this just was destruction. You could not jump against Kano. So many tools to prevent you. He also had a really fast down 2, 8 frame down 2, second fastest in the game. What's nice about that is it's good for cross-ups, because if you're a little worried when your opponent's jumping over you, if you press back, it might not come out back. See, even though I did a direction, it's only doing a standing one, and that's because how your opponent jumped over in the timings, it could flip your controls. So down 2 was good to go for because it didn't force you to, and it lowered your hurt box. So look how low I am to the ground when I'm holding down. Easy anti-airs, 4 days against this character. You didn't get a full you didn't get a full combo this way, but good for cross-ups. And then you had back 2 for just normal jump-ins. Like, look at that. Oh, just disgusting. You could hit people like that so far away. You're kind of feeling people out, going back and forth, spacing them. always just easy to just throw out and just catch your opponent. And remember, there's something else you can do off this. And I'm not doing it, but you can restand. And it does take away some damage, but taking away a wake-up option could be useful. So again, Kano could do anything at any time he wanted. If he wanted to restand you off of his hit, he would. If he wanted to, knock you down and send you full screen, he could. He could do whatever he wanted, and whatever he felt like was right at the time is what Kano players normally did. So very easy to execute optimal play with this character. I shouldn't say it's easy, it's hard because there's so many options, but in most practical cases you can choose what you go for. So, oh, I see that hit him out of his jump, restand, and now look at you. This restand is plus 13 and you're in the corner. This means that my back 2, or back 1, I'm sorry, oops, this move was guaranteed. Because I'm plus 13, and this comes out 9 frames. So I have a 4 frame give, actually, so that actually benefits me. I don't have to try as hard to jail my next move. And it just made Kano's play amazing. But just to really quickly harp back on that restand, this restand, full screen, wasn't that crazy. You can see they're pretty far away, but in the corner it kept you right next to them, so that's why it was better. It got you more guaranteed pressure in the corner. So it's really good. One more thing I'm going to show is actually a few things. I'm actually going to show this off too. This is what's happening. Oh, it changed my skin. This is Kano's damage in the corner for 1 bar. 1 bar gets you 50% damage. So, oh, it actually changed my skin. 50% of your life taken off of 1 bar in the corner against someone with easy ways to hit you. That he did do it off of a low too, which is technically a mix-up because he had a 2-frame overhead, but we'll talk about that later. Overall, these normals that Kano had let him control space and always put fear into his opponent's mind, because they're always scared to press buttons, because at any point if he connects one of these mids, sorry buckaroo, but you're taking dammy. And he didn't even have to restand you the traditional way. He could have done stuff like that, which is just keep him on the ground, don't even launch him, just do 20% and then do your mids, and that was just guaranteed pressure. It sucked for a lot of people who didn't have good armor, because if you didn't have good armor against Cybernetic Kano, it felt like you were being pressured forever, and then he could start throwing in grabs, and it got very scary very quickly. Overall, though, very good character, could restand, could combo, could hit you out of these amazing situations, anti-air, low poke craziness, good stuff all around. However, his normals are not what made him so good. It was his good, amazing, versatile normals alongside his specials that really made him an amazing character. And to show off his specials, we'll be going off to another segment where I talk about the specials right now. Okay, now that we talked about his normals a little bit and how good and space control and all these great things Kano had, we're going to be moving on to his specials. And I do have to go through all of his specials to really show off what this character could do, because my first claim was that this character could address any situation and have a favorable outcome. That is true, but Kano had to read it. And because he had to read it, it put the pressure on him a lot of the time. But once you go through these specials and you kind of consider them with the normals and consider them together, you'll see just how extreme this character really was. So the first one we're just going to go and list up here. I said earlier he had an overhead and I showed it off for a moment, but this was a, yes, you saw that right, 2-frame startup overhead. So realistically, if I'm on the ground, I take some frames to jump and get up. And I think you can cancel it around frame 3, 4. So it takes 3 to 4 frames to get into the air, and then 2-frame startup to have this move come out. So it was unreactable. It was 6, 7 frames, quick. You could also cancel it. So if I jump in, oops. As you can see, before I land, I can cancel into it. So I could do like a overhead really quickly instead of jumping low. These both comboed, by the way. So on hit, these both comboed, which just was a little scary, but nothing too crazy. up until you consider things like this. So you saw it was an overhead low. Not hard. If you block the first hit, you actually don't have to block the low. Oops. You can see here that it just kind of bounces off of him. Super unsafe. Not a good move, you would think, but you could do things like this. If you're really far back, now I only did a low. So there's this range right around here where it becomes vague, where when Kano's in the air, you don't know if it's going to be an overhead or low. So this one, what do you think? Okay, that one was an overhead. That one was a low. Okay, this one is a low. And you can see that I'm using it lower to my trajectory, but it also depends on distance. So if I'm all the way over here and I jump as high as I can, it'll only ever do low. But if I wait till the end, it'll also only do low. In fact, that one whiffed. But if I jump in from full screen, it puts a lot of pressure on you, because you kind of have to guess whether or not that's going to be a low or not if I've hit my trajectory at what you think is a good angle. So, again, very hard to tell whether or not that was going to be an overhead or low, but I believe it was reactable. So what Kano also had access to was the meter burn version, which you read that right, it says unblockable. So if I spend 1 bar, I don't do either my overhead or my low. Oops, on hit it'll give you extra damage, but on whiff, it'll just become straight unblockable. So Kano had a very weird mix-up game because of this, because he had an overhead, a low, and an unblockable that he could do from the air, from any part of the screen. And this made, and so full screen, again, you only thought, oh, only low can hit me. That's not true, because he could, haha, gotcha. And you can't really poke. You can, you can't. It's very situational, but you can see that I'm kind of far away from Reptile during when I do spend my bar. And he can poke me out during that time, but very unlikely that it would even reach unless he did like a down 4. And, you know, at that point, if you're calling him out, you are going to punish even if he didn't spend the bar. At worst, you just make him lose 1 bar. Very good mix-up game, and because it was a 2-frame startup, what you can kind of do, as I said earlier, that full screen restands, weren't really that good. That's untrue, now considering this one, because now, when you restand them, even though that they're far away, once I jump, and remember, you're plus 13, or I'm sorry, I'm plus, as Kano, I'm plus 13, from that restand, I can jump, and then I can just react if you move. Because now this move comes out in 2 frames. I can make this combo you, actually. I'm sorry, not combo you. I can make this jail you. So if I put him on auto, restand him, technically, oops, the air went out, my bad. Just hold up. Oh my gosh, my timing's terrible. Really? Is holding up not? Okay, I'm just bad. So you could do things like that, and he'd have to block, because if you backdash, it would catch him, or he could armor, maybe. But I think it actually jailed, because this was 2-frame startup, and it took you like, 4 frames to get into the air, so he had to cover, this distance in like a few frames, which he could do. So this basically jailed you if he wanted to. It was extremely unsafe, so a lot of Kanos didn't. So what they would do is they would restand you and then just jump. And if they saw you move, they'd, in the air, you see me pressing back forward, as soon as they saw you move, they'd press the A. Boom, saw you move. If they didn't, they would just keep jumping. Or they would just stay in the air. Or they would jump back, or they would jump forward. And you're kind of at Kano's will during that time period, because, again, you're not beating out a 2-frame move. I'm sorry. It doesn't really matter. Also, if you had a teleport, and Kano started going to the right, and then you teleported on the left of him, he would actually turn around for the low. So it actually beat out most teleports. Also, just because of how quick it is, sometimes the overhead would even hit your teleport. So it was really good at covering multiple options. Mixing up your opponent, it was a very versatile move in itself, right, actually. But on Kano, it made him even more of like a scary monster. Because when he's in the air, you're like, what do I do? You can't really, think about the startup of this move. He's getting to you in 2 frames, maybe 6. We'll count 6 frames for this range, because he takes a few frames to get to you. That's a very quick option to have. Something 2-frame startup. That doesn't allow you to bait him very well in the air, because what are you going to do? Hold block, unblock for one frame, move for a frame, and block again to make sure you know, like, you'd have to do this. Oops. You'd have to, like, walk up a little bit and block. But, again, with the nature of how fast this move is, it was a very hard call out. And it honestly didn't work a lot. It probably got beat because it's just so fast and kind of hurt a lot of your options as a player. It's a very good move overall, but unsafe. That was its drawback. Kano Ball on the ground? It's amazing. It's during that time period, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't fucking matter. That's if you see that hit advantage, it's plus 34. That's insane. It's also unsafe, but it didn't matter because you really only use this on knockdown. And on knockdown, it's amazing because it, 1, gave you max damage, but 2, plus 34. I'm fighting Reptile. Reptile, I'm going to switch to him really quick. I'm going to be player 2. Reptile has a 6 frame, and this is the fastest move in the game with a hitbox, with armor, with 6 frames. So this is a 6 frame, low, quick punish. Fastest move in the game. Let's see what Kano could do if he hit you in a combo. Let me first put on the wake up. So this means the game will put it on the first frame that you could armor. Reptile will do it. Oh. Combo him like a normal combo. 1, 2, and a jump. 1, 2, 4 dashes. I got 2 reps of 4 dashes and a jump. So, because he didn't beat me, his low didn't cuff me as I was jumping. So that means I even had some extra frames there during my jump. So I got 2 4 dashes. You see how much area I cover in 2 4 dashes? Look at that. That's insane. This character is crazy, really. But look at he's like full screenish. I'm in. I'm already in, and he couldn't even do anything. And this is the fastest move with a hitbox in the game. So what I also want to do here is I'm just gonna make it further away just to see how far we can dash in. 1, 2. Do I have enough time for 3? Hold on. Do I really have enough time for 3? Oops. One, 2, 3. Yep, I got 3. Cool. I think I had to cancel my forward dash. But I can get like 2.5/3 out. That gives Kano could do anything in that time period. And again, not everyone has the fastest move in the game. So realistically, Kano could backdash, and now you're full screen against Kano. And what are you gonna do? Maybe you don't have a forward advancing armor move. Now you're just full screen. Kano can place himself anywhere on this map and call you out where you're gonna be because he just has all that time. He can do it. And while this isn't a hard knockdown because you can technically roll after it, they're still stuck in the ground. So even rolling, which is typically a faster get up in this game, it doesn't work in this context. So we'll just hard knockdown them. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, in fact, it gave me actually more time. I didn't even have to cancel my 3rd forward dash. Very, very good move. Armored version had some obscure uses like cancels, but we're not going to really talk about that today. Actually, I'll talk about it in one condition, and that is his corner carry. Let's see his corner carry. So I'll show off his ball roll cancel here. I'm so bad. So look what I've done. I've spent 1 bar, and I've brought him from this corner. I can't even get back to this corner, but I've brought him from over here to right here. I haven't even finished the combo. That's the scariest thing. Ugh. There we go. Look at this corner carry. And then I get 2 forward dashes. I brought him from the left side of the stage to basically the whole other side of the stage. I mean, yes, there's a little bit distance here, but it didn't really matter that Kano's back was to the corner because all of his moves allowed, or his 1 bar launchers allowed him to side switch. And again, in the corner, Kano is where he wants to be. He has a restand that's super good in the corner, so now all of a sudden I get guaranteed pressure. Very good. Very annoying to deal with. Just overall, really good. So it had some obscure uses like that, but more for the hard knockdown. Up ball, his fastest move to punish things, it was 7 frames, so you got 10% off of a 7-frame move. Overall, its armored move was better. It was safe. It was 7 frames startup, so this move was crazy good. 12%, armored, safe, good wake up move, good get out of pressure option. The only one bad thing is it was easily whiffable, so if he wasn't like right in front of me, it would just whiff and that's a free punish. A hold block. I can block as soon as I land, but good players will punish you even out of the air, so it didn't really matter. Or punish you on land. Eye Burst. This is his hit confirm move that I spoke about earlier that allowed him to just get more damage. It's unsafe at -11. I would consider anything -8 or lower to be unsafe in this game. And -11 is not too far off from being -7, which is safe. So what could Kano do? Well, thanks for asking. Kano could cancel it from like far distances and make the distance between him and his opponent. Look at that. First of all, look at that pushback. That's a lot of pushback. I'm right in front of his face. You're not just going to run up and do this in someone's face. You're going to, do a normal or something, which makes even more distance. But because it... Oops. Position, center. Because it had this property, it both could be made safe and... well, I'm sorry, it could be made safe with the pushback, so you could do something like that. Look at that. Look at that distance. You're not really going to punish that with even most top-tier characters. A lot just didn't have a lot to deal with that. That one was very hard. That's even worse. That looks even harder to punish. I don't think you could really punish that. And this move also had some weird shield stun. Where it wasn't just -11, it felt like more like -10, more -9, because you were in shield stun or block stun. So it was a weird move, but very hard to punish. Very hard to punish. And what's the risk for Kano in this situation? I mean, if you don't block, he gets a full punish, and you take that damage. If you block it, he's most likely safe. And even if he's not, you would have to punish that in a very specific way. Maybe you can only get a poke out, because you could definitely poke punish probably from very far distance or further distances. So like right here, for example, I believe you could punish that with a poke and then get like free pressure. But you should be getting a full combo for that, and it was very hard to. I'm not going to talk about the meter burn version. Yes, it is +4, but it's irrelevant in most conversations, and you'll see that later. Upward laser. Interesting move. Fastest, so again, just more things Kano had. Fastest anti-air in the game. 6-frame startup. That's so fast. 6-frame startup. For a bar, you get a full combo. From full screen. Yep, from full screen, you got a combo. Could just throw items too. As long as you had meter to run. It didn't really matter because of this anti-air, but it still became very useful for attacking on damage. And I did drop that, but if we remember the combo I did earlier in the corner, he actually had to use this to get max damage. So in the corner, this move became time to kill my opponent, time to do 50%. And full screen, 7%, not even as good a reward as down 2, which did double the damage, and it was only 2 frames slower. And if you were competent anti-air, you could you would do better options than this. But it was your fastest, so if you really wanted to go to your fastest option, you could. Again, Bar gets a really good launch. +5 on block. It whiffed on block, so even if I'm right in front of him, sometimes it would hit at really weird angles on really large characters, mostly in the corner. Oops, didn't mean to do that one, but it didn't hit like this, so you couldn't really use it for block, even though it has block data. That's just in case it does, in very obscure matchups. Didn't really matter. Knife toss. Oh my gosh. I can make a whole video on just knife toss. This is his last special. I'm not going to talk about his X-ray. It's kind of whatever. It's pretty meh. This special is absolutely crazy. One, it's a mid. So this is a mid projectile, so you can't duck it. So you either have to jump or block it. That's your two options. Because of this, Kano's meter build was just insane. So look how much you get for, first of all, I'm going to put him on not blocking. You get that little bit for throwing it, right? For using a special move, you gain some bar. But then if I do it while he's blocking, it basically doubles it. Maybe even triples. Kind of hard to see, but look at this. It's a mid. You have to block this. You're most likely not going to react to 12 frames to jump in like this range. Because remember, you also have some frames to get off the ground. So even if you saw it from here, him doing the startup, even if you jumped, it would probably clip you. So you were blocking a whole bunch of these throughout the whole match. And so he's just building bar like a beast. And you have to slowly work your way in on this. If you don't have like a teleport, even if you did, this move was very safe. So it's also minus 11. This one did not have a weird block stun thing like the other one, but you had more versatility with this one because now you can do things like this. I'll put him to block always. So let's say I do like a poke into it. Now look how far I am. I am minus 11, kind of. Like no one could punish me from this distance. I don't believe so, except Reptile actually. But most normal people could not really take this, and they couldn't get even a full combo off of it. At worst, Reptile could do a slide, which did like 7%. Oh, I took 7%. Look at how much meter I built, and look how much damage I do. I do about 2%. So I'm doing like, you know, if someone is punishing this move with some weird special, I am most likely still coming out on top because I got about a third of his punish in terms of percent, and my bar got built hella. And I'll take a punish move on hit, which will build me even more bar. And you've lost a bar. Very good, good move. And then we go on to the bullshit. This right here. First, it's quicker. It's no longer 12 frame startup, it's 9. 9 is insanely quick for a mid. That's as fast as his back one. So he has a mid from full screen that he could throw out at any time. That's 9 frames. And do you guys see that? You guys see how much damage that does? Let's see how much damage that does. It says on block, 4%. That means doing just a dummy old string like this, because this does 1%-ish. Yeah. 5% of your life gone instantly. But not only that, it's plus 5. Plus 5. And look at the knockback. It's a little bit, but for someone like Kano with a 9 frame back one, there was nothing you could do after this move except armor or backdash. Because every poke in this game was 6 frames or higher on startup. And if I'm plus 5 with a 9 frame move, that means it comes out in frame 4. And it's not a high, it's a mid, so it can't even be crouched. So you could backdash, you could block, and you could armor. Those were your 3 options on block against this character. And look at the meter build. I'm going to show you guys something really crazy actually right now. If Kano had 3 bars, it was a normal match, we have super meter on normal, and my opponent is going to respect my frame data. He is not going to armor, maybe he doesn't have bar, maybe he thinks he could use it better later. I'm going to put him on 30% health, and I'm going to do a sequence. So, that whole sequence did roughly 25% of your life. I built a whole nother bar back as I'm comboing you. Do you guys see that? I built a bar back. Like, what? That's crazy dumb. That's crazy stupid. And it's by itself. So it's plus 5. You get these guaranteed back 1s. And look what happens if you backdash. Backdash, yes. So let's say, you know, I do this move. Oops. I didn't do it fast enough, but watch this. Catches your backdash. Yep. That's right. You try to just backdash, he just has to hit confirm. Um, and that hit confirm is really easy. It's actually easier than his normal one because look how far away you are. So that means he's doing this move. His forward one whiffs. So it's almost like doing this. So you're probably not going to punish this move at that far range. But two, you could just visually watch them backdash. And if they backdash, then hit confirm. And anything actually, you could restand them with this instead. Oops. You have to be kind of quick on it, and some backdashes actually could get out of it. I think Kano's was one of them, because Kano has a really good backdash. But this covered a lot of backdashes if you were quick enough and used your plus frames as you were supposed to. And crazy move. Like, look at that. You feel silly because you're like, okay, you know what Kano gets, right? You know on block. If I just sit here and block, Kano's one gonna take 30% of my life. Two, look at this. It combos on hit. Oh, this move is disgusting. It combos on hit too. That's right. Look at this move. It's gross. And it doesn't do a lot of damage because it has a lot of scaling, but it didn't really matter because of all the other uses it had. So you could do, again, hard knockdown. You could do restand you, and I could just throw one at you, just chuck one at you, and you kind of have to hold that. There's not a whole lot going on for you to do to counterplay that. Overall, very dumb move. Yeah, you don't want to just sit there and block, but then if you let go, he got a full combo. And that full combo led to whatever Kano wanted to do, which was it restand? Was it cashing out? Once he cashed out, did he come in for more pressure? Did he do this? Did he hard knockdown you and then run back and start zoning? Like, you don't know what Kano's going to do. Kano knows what he's going to do, but you have to kind of think about what Kano's going to do. And when he's in front of you, it's pretty intimidating, because, again, +5, this move was insane. So now, we're going to talk about one last very insane thing this move had. And that is right, it could armor break. Because these 3 hits came out mid, most armor in this game had 2 hits or more. I think Reptiles has 2. So what that means is, during Reptile's slide, as you can see, my low actually beat it, or where he's taking damage because it's armoring through my poke. I'm going to do forward 4, maybe that's more obvious, even though it went under him. It's very, annoying to deal with those types of wake-ups where it just has lots of armor and your strings, like, yeah, I could maybe break some slow armors with this, like, oh, 1-1 comes out really quickly, but then the third hit comes out kind of slow, and a lot of people couldn't break armor in this game. But Reptiles slide, the fastest move in the game, being broken is almost unheard of, besides Jason Voorhees, and Jason Voorhees was a very specific example. So, well, what could Kano do? That's right, he could break the fastest move in the game that has a hitbox if he read it. And he got a combo off of it too, actually, if he was really good. 20% of your life. You lost a bar, I armored through. Your defensive option has been defeated. And it was a timing thing, so Kanos would have to get pretty good, and it was interesting to see how you can mix this up. But this was insane. This was hard to deal with. This was not a lot of things. And at worst, if you wake up to this move, let me shut that off. Say you just wake up blocking like a normal human being and you don't try to armor, even though he calls it out. He's plus now, so it's like, what do? You really can't do anything, because Kano now it's still Kano's turn. And it never felt like it was your turn against Cybernetic Kano. It was always his turn. And his turn was scary, because he had an option for everything you did. If you were a teleport character, he'd be in the air. Anytime he saw you do anything, any movement option, you teleport. Teleport has sometimes audio effects. He was pressing the button and it was going to auto find you. And if it didn't auto find you, during this motion where Kano transitions from his overhead to his low, so during this whole time he's in a ball, but then he like lays down on the ground and puts his leg out to do the low. That, during his ball state, prior to that, he would go in that direction, and then if you teleported, his low would actually turn around. So he like option selected teleport characters. He again could break any armor in this game, I'm sure of it, except maybe X-rays. I think X-rays or some of them had infinite armor. This could break things, and even if it didn't break anything, it was no risk to him. It was 1 bar and he was plus. And so what do you do? Like, what do you do against this? And then you get restood and you're in a similar shitty situation where you don't want to backdash because you want to get closer to this character. Because you don't want him to zone you. Because you do not have... If he's full screen and he does stuff like this, like, he spends 1 bar. Like, you are trapped. You don't want to jump. He has one of the best anti-airs in the game. And even if you jump full screen, he had some options for that. Like, run in down back 2. This was very good. This actually, I think, had the most range out of any anti-air move he had. Look how far... Oh, he rolled. I don't think I want him to roll. Look what happens if he rolls. Look how far he is. I'm anti-airing him. With a 7-frame move. I don't even have to think. This is just an easy reaction from a full screen jump in. So easy. It's so crazy what you can do. If you get hit by one of these mids, he's plus 11. So being plus 11 just meant that you had to take another one of these projectiles. Oops. Oh, I'm plus 11, and these come out at frame 12. And then take, like, what, a few frames to get to you? So you couldn't even really jump out of it, except from absolute full screen. And if you jumped, Kano could catch your landing with another one. He could armor, so then on your fall, you either get hit, or you, because remember, these come out 3 frames faster. They also hit higher, and because of that, that would catch your landing, or you land, and at worst, he is now plus 5 from full screen and gets a guaranteed another one. So being full screen against this character was very frustrating. You wanted to get in, and Kano also kind of wanted to get in. He got in when he wanted to get in. Didn't have very good mix-up options, and that really did hurt him overall as a character, but still, he's such a strong character. His corner game, scary. You don't want to be in the corner against Kano. Anything this character had, or anything your character had that you thought would work, haha, Kano laughs at you because he could armor break it. He had one of the best backdashes, so he had really good defensive game, really good armor move. That also, this is a double hitting armored move, could also break armor under certain conditions. I don't think Reptile will be one of them, but I'm gonna try. I mean, at worst, like, you get sent back to neutral. Like, it's just weird. Oops. Yeah, it's weird, but overall, crazy character. And Reptile wasn't even a top tier character in this game. Maybe Nimble was pretty high, come to think of it, but overall, Reptile as a character wasn't very high tier, and most people did not have as fast of moves as him, so you could play even crazier against them. And again, you're kind of just throwing stuff out, spacing your stuff, your normal, so they're safe, your specials, you're getting corner carry, you have everything. You have everything a character can want. You have damage, you have cash out. Like this 1 bar punish does almost 40% of your life. Like, what the fuck is that? Why does he have all these things? And even though that middle part whiffed right there, at a very specific range, it whiffs, it's still combos. You're still in hit stun, so that combo is still reaches. I'm gonna go complete full screen and do this full sequence. Look how close I got. I was throwing out hitboxes that whole time. And no good player will just get hit by them, but you can't undermine what kind of utility this has, because it had great utility. And so from very extreme ranges where even like 2 would whiff, you could just catch someone off guard, I think, by doing like that. Just easy catches. Oh, and by the way, if this wasn't already known, this is -8. So that means Kano's armored launcher is basically safe. Look at that! Look at that distance. Look at how far he's pushing him away too. Hit everything. He had everything a character could want. And then as soon as you start blocking against Kano, because that's all you can do, he started grabbing. And grabs in this game were 50-50s. So you had to guess if he was going to throw you back or forward. So you're getting 50-50 all right, just not in the traditional sense. And you couldn't do much. There really wasn't much to do about this because if you press buttons, like during this, you are getting eaten up. You have to armor. That is your only option. And I think you could opt. And what's crazy, actually, before I even continue with that, is no one's gonna just straight up do this to you. Like no Kano is just gonna do this exactly. He's gonna stagger. He's gonna jump in. Oop, one. Oop, oop, oop. Oh. Walk back maybe. So he's doing shit like this to you, right? He could definitely wean you down on damage, and it just keep you in this spot where you're like, what do I fucking do? How do I get this guy off me? And he didn't really want to be on you, but he could, and it was scary when he was. And as soon as he gave you space, that's where it got also annoying, because now you have to deal with really annoying mid projectiles, meter burn at any point. You could honestly even do some crazy stuff like this. Like if you think they're gonna run in, just throw this out. It doesn't sound very good, and it isn't because the recovery is 26 frames, but it's active for 8. So 8 frames, you're holding a hitbox out. And it's just, if they run into it, again, look at the distance. Let's say he does run and block, and he gets blocked from max distance. He's not going to punish that. What is he going to do to that? He can't do anything. So you had this character designed to frustrate your opponent and just truly make them feel like they had no options. And that's because Kano could beat every single option you had. Air-wise, he was crazy. He had 50-50s because he had this low, and then he had this overhead. So he'd condition you with the low and not do an overhead for the whole game, or only do it to react and punish you from like a distance. And then all of a sudden, Kano's zoning you out the whole game. He's just one hit ponies, getting one hit at a time, just slowly weaning you down on health. And then all of a sudden, fucking Kano runs in, just starts doing overhead. You're like, what? And then now you're in the corner, and now you're taking 50%, even though I can't do the combo. And then you're getting restood, and then good luck, because he just keeps throwing normals out, and these really annoying mids, you can't poke, you feel suffocated. And this is the easy way to do this combo, and it loses a lot of damage, but it still does 42%, even the easy combo. This is a combo anyone could do, I'm sure of it. This is not a hard combo to lab. And again, you could just sacrifice some damage for a restand, and Kano could just play whatever he wanted. Whatever he was feeling in that moment, he could do it. And if you weren't ready for it, good luck, because he had all the options to be what you had. Again, kind of not the greatest character because he didn't have safe 50-50s, because this overhead was very safe. Even though this low actually was +1 on block, if you did it like this, it didn't really matter because this overhead was just super unsafe, and that kind of shut down his game. So if he ever did mix you up and you did block overhead once, you got a full combo. So Kano couldn't do that all the time, but it didn't really matter because, right, he has all these other tools, so he didn't have to rely on them. A lot of people played him like that. I think that's not the best way to play this Kano. You can definitely just play straight neutral with this character and just slowly wean your opponent down. Pokes, he had a great down 4. It's an amazing down 4, good hit advantage. And like, look at this. So on hit, this is +17, so I get a guaranteed backdash. And look how full screen. You were in poke distance 1 moment ago, and now you're full screen taking mid projectiles. Sorry. It's just how Kano plays. Or he stayed right in front of your face, grabs. Character was insane, and I hope my video today shows some appreciation to why he was scary to play against. Fell short to 50-50s, and if you baited his wake up, because this was very easy to bait, because look how little you have to move back. So if you're in front of Kano about to pressure him, and you're like, oh, he's going to wake up, so I'm going to bait it and get a full combo. It's like right around here. Definitely closer than that. Yeah, it's like somewhere around here. You could step back and punish him, but if you stepped back and he didn't wake up, now you are, right around roughly here. And now Kano has woken up, like he has restood from the ground because he didn't wake up, and then he backdashes. Now you're back at a pretty mediocre situation against Kano because he just has all these mids. He could just throw things out and make them safe, and scary, scary character. Overall, should be scared, and I think he has a very solid argument for high tier, and I think his potential even goes beyond that. I think he can be even high of high tier, so to speak, and he could even go above. I think he could be a top character for sure. He has all the equipment to. You just need a player who's smart enough to utilize them when they need to be utilized. Well, that is the video. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, comment, tell me you love me in the comments. I always love to hear that. And take care.